Namaste, my camera, my friends, my audience. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for being with me. Today we're going to talk a little bit about getting things done. This is the title of a book. What I'm going to say is essentially going to be the distillation of Getting Things Done, the book. Now, for most of us, maybe you have a child or children that set your routine. Maybe you have a boss that pretty much sets your routine and your lifestyle. Maybe you're in military or something. Maybe your life is kind of a given and you don't really need to get organized. Many of us are in this position of sort of free agency, and it occurs to me and to many of us that we don't actually know how to do this, how to get things done, how to get organized, how to know that how to be sure as a scientist or whatever you may be, that you're doing this right. I have had in my life a person who was a personal mentor to me, maybe inadvertently. They went through a phase where I noticed they got from being somewhat good at getting things done to being exceptionally good at getting things done. And part of their explanation for that, a medium, small part of it, was this book called Getting Things Done, among many other sort of business self-help books. Where I think this really applies to the level 7 teal integral developer type, and this is my audience, essentially, people who are interested in level 7 teal integral topics, integral theory. This seems to be who watches and who responds to what I'm doing. What that is, essentially, level 7 kind of recognizes the need for frameworks, for simplifying the incredible infinity of complexity that's attacking us at all times, if you allow it, if you let it in, if you experience it all. It's a lot to organize. And so how much do I organize? Do I organize more, right? Frameworks that are extremely elegant and simple is what we're all about. So this one is Getting Things Done. It's pretty standard business literature, management literature for simplifying the process of having things to do and getting them done. In terms of integral theory, we often talk about an integral life practice, integral being level 7 teal integral developer, as I call it. And this is a person who is very concerned with getting organized. We're very conscious, we're very self-aware of all the responsibilities that exist in this continuum and in reality. All these responsibilities that I could take on. And I could be radically free and take on no responsibility. Or I could take on maximal responsibility and drive myself into the ground, not even worry about my comfort or happiness, push it to the limit. Na 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 na, you're gonna find it. So wait, but is that healthy? Is that Zen? So a little bit about the spiritual thing, right? This is part of it. This is part of everything. Is spirituality important to your life? What is that? Basically, if we're talking about attaining a state of mind that requires great tranquility, great peace, resolution, bliss, this is at odds with the contemporary marketplace where get it done, get it done, get it done. I don't, talk to her. This person's upset with you. There's not enough supply of this sort of service. And inevitably, it's a stressful thing. That's why you get paid to take care of these responsibilities. It's worth money. So we start to ask ourselves, as the teal developer, I want to have Zen mind, I should hope. If that is a thing, and if I can determine that to be a priority, I would like to have tranquility and peace of mind. But I also have all these responsibilities, and I believe in them. I agree with them. I want to do these things for my family, for my employer. I want to perhaps have that orange meme, very successful outward material lifestyle. I want to win. I want to get things done. A lot of people contact me, comments or direct. They kind of spell out a dilemma that I've had in my life a lot too, where you have these sort of a fork in the path, it would look like. From your perspective, there seems to be a fork in the path where I either am doubling down, I'm either going to take very seriously the path to transcendence, meditation, enlightenment, waking up. And that has a particular cardinality to it, a particular feeling, and that kind of dictates my whole life, let's just say. And meanwhile, we all must provide to some extent, or have someone provide for us, which must be secured. So in every way, we are responsible for our material conditions. And so you can pursue that as deeply and as far as you want. Some of us have the privilege of living in a place where that's relatively easy to take care of, and then we have time for other pursuits. But again, this can be the entire focus of your life. And then I would maybe place a third category of just sort of things you want to do, things that you're passionate about. This might be skiing, this might be board games, this might be Dungeons and Dragons, this could be making sure you've read every book in a series, things like that. Just things that you do with your time that you like to do, that make you happy, make your life work. Those need to get organized too. So we're looking at kind of three things that really could take over your whole life. They could really be all that you do, all by themselves. And I think that particularly at stage 7, teal, integral developer, second tier, yellow, whatever, the integrative person is trying to figure out a way to have as many of these things as possible, to be able to do as many paths simultaneously as possible. They're going to be pursuing physical fitness to some extent, nutrition to some extent, social interactions to some extent, some sort of self-expression, some sort of business venture, some sort of spiritual practice. Did I already mention that? We're talking about a level 7 society, a level 7 life. We're connected to everyone else on this network of technology, and we're global citizens to this extent. In that context, there's a great deal of need to balance out all of these competing priorities, some of which are demanding, some of which won't even bother you, and you can completely ignore them, but should you? In reaction to this, we may take some sort of absolutistic paths and just forsake. And what I'm trying to say is you don't have to do that. We can get organized. So this is one step along that path. I have a very, very, very awesome, very stunning, intelligent, kind-hearted, well-meaning, helpful, very helpful platonic acquaintance. And they had said, that they are essentially going into business for themselves. They're switching to a thing where they're really in charge of the whole business. They're a little bit worried about their own capacity to coordinate their time, to actually execute everything, to plan it out, and just to make sure that they're doing it the right way and can check in with that and I'm in over my head. I don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed. That sort of feeling, whether it's just a feeling or whether it's reflecting an actual reality, right? This person is very, very capable of doing this, but I thought that if I can help in some way, that it would probably be to share this with you, the getting things done method. And if it's something that you're already aware of and it's not helpful and it's simple, then I present this also to my audience of people like me. I find this extremely helpful. So let's get right into it. Getting things done. Give me a yeah. Let's do it. We got a chicken in the fireplace. What the hell's going on here? Anyways. So what happens when I try to get things done? I'm trying to do things. Well, what am I trying to do? This, I got to do this, I got to do this. Now I got all these things. I can keep them all in my mind and I'll just do them one at a time. Okay, well, pretty soon I'm going crazy because I have too many things in my mind. This is stressful. So what do? I write them down. Now I'm writing all the things down. Now they're on a piece of paper. Did that help? Yeah, they're not in my mind anymore. Now they're on a piece of paper. Okay, but I forgot to do all those things. They're on the piece of paper. And I put it in a desk. It's underneath a bunch of other pieces of paper full of things I'm supposed to do, and I haven't done anything. Now I'm really going crazy. So writing it down didn't help. What's the problem with that? What's wrong with that? To-do lists. Why are you writing it down instead of just doing it? Because I have all these things in my brain. I got to write them down or else they'll have to stay in my... You get it. Meditation and thought purging, right? Endless process. Your brain is so good at making to-do lists. So the purpose of this... a methodology or framework is to reduce the craziness, to relieve stress and contribute to the capacity for a tranquil state of mind, for a state of inner tranquility, even while dealing with all these things. We can engage and get in the flow of specific activities, participate in them very consciously, and not worry about all the other things that we have to worry about, just get in that flow state. So whether we're very preoccupied with tasks or totally free to do whatever we want, getting things done, this methodology is essential to just simply having peace of mind and feeling that sense of confidence that you're taking care of everything that's important for you to take care of according to you. You do self-management and you have your complaints. And what we're doing here is we're just taking it, this framework helps us to more consciously and according to a little bit more of a structure to do that self-management and to formalize that self-management that's already casually occurring. And this is only necessary if you're feeling that you need to. So this will probably start to occur as you get up to around level 5, 6, 7, in those zones, it sort of gets to be too much for you to deal with. And you stop blocking out, you stop rejecting all the different ways that information's trying to get to you. So, like Amber Meme is, and even Orange, stages 4 and 5, and everyone beneath, they're very slow to adopt new things. They're very conservative, at least in terms of their desire to embrace something that's new or different, right? But the world is changing rapidly, at least in terms of the technology, definitely in terms of the culture and everything. So you don't get to be that way if you're participating at the level of today, at level 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have to get organized if you're doing that level. If you're not doing that level, then you're fine. Just shut out everything you don't want to know and continue according to the structure that's been granted. That's those. But nobody watching this is really deeply entrenched in any of that. I get that now. I keep making I keep apologizing to this audience that doesn't exist, of like normal mainstream people who watch this show. It's just not a thing. It's like I don't even have to worry about that. So our method here is a 5-stage plan. We are going to capture. We're going to process what we capture. We're going to organize what we've processed. We're going to review our whole system. And then we're going to execute our plans. Now, when this is all up and running, you're going to have a constant stream of things to execute because you're all organized. Part of what you execute is these other stages. So that's the goal, is to actually have this system where everything you do is even if it's just silly time, just messing around, just having fun, just hanging out. I got 2 free days. That's on the schedule. That's planned. You're organized. Following your heart, that's that can be built into the system too. If you want to have policies and leeways to just take 2 weeks off, and then you're planning for what's going to happen after that when you start worrying again. Sure, whatever you want. That's the important thing to realize, is this is a framework that needs to be applicable to reality, your reality. If you find yourself entering this I'm managing myself space and you're a whole different person and you have unrealistic expectations for yourself, you need to come back to your own personality and recognize maybe you only have 2 hours a day that you can be self-managed. Maybe that's all you're capable of, and maybe that's just fine. Maybe that's just absolutely fine. Maybe you have 20 hours and you waste them all. I don't know. So this is for everyone. So writing stuff down is great in terms of turning things into keywords and titles and category headings, which is essential to understanding how to operate in today's world, how to take an entire conversation and cut it down to bullet points, how to write down what I have to do about the situation tomorrow. It's got to be a bullet that I could just put it on a list. Our brain has all these different cognitive functions that it does, and it's very good at telling us, it's all wired up emotionally to tell us, hey, you need to do this. I have an internalized parent. I need to brush my teeth tonight. I need to know what I'm doing for dinner tonight. I need to know what I'm doing tomorrow. I need to know if I'm available in an hour. So we know what these things are, and the issue, of course, is that they slip our mind, or they slip our awareness, or there's too many of them. Let's simply call that the capture stage. Right now, we go around like a little net in an ocean, and we're just capturing what I need to do. This and that. Oh, I have 2 songs on my set list that I'm working on. I need to meditate every day. I got to do my insurance, but not yet. I'm just looking around my room at cues, right? Reminders. So I've captured those. So capturing helps you out in a certain sense. It helps you out in terms of you're formalizing that thought into a category heading or into something that is a gestalt now. It's something that you can look at on the paper. You're objectifying it. You're externalizing that internal thought, that internal need. So now you don't have to feel it anymore. You have it on a piece of paper. However, it's not done. That has to get executed. So you're still worried, even though you've written everything down. That's good. You're on your way. You've captured. So all we're doing here is we're going to clarify and store the thinking and planning that we're doing automatically. We're just learning how to capture it, to categorize it, and to store it, and to turn it into executable, prioritized plans. Whenever I'm meeting someone, I will generally be taking notes. I really like capturing. There was a period where I was working on a comedy film. My friends and I were writing down like everything funny that happened to like see if you could turn it into a joke of some sort, or like every kind of funny turn of phrase. And so I've been in this habit for a very long time of always writing down every joke. What's the point? It's not like I go back and fish them all up and weave it together into some sort of work. But you see it as you go through your notes over and over again. You go, oh yeah, that thing. And that keeps it kind of alive in your mind. And then when I'm on my show, maybe that'll just pop into my head at a certain moment. And it might actually be useful at that moment. There are also comedians who never write anything down. So, I'm not saying that you need to do that as a comedian, but I've found it very useful to always capture things, even if you're just going to throw it in the garbage, because it's getting your brain to think of things in terms of the language that you use to understand reality. Whereas if someone just tells you something, it's easier to forget because you haven't had to turn it into what was the point of what that person just said, and then you write that down. You don't write down what they thought the point was, you write down what you thought the point was. So what we're doing here in terms of getting organized, what we capture is actionable items, like any sort of task or notification or something that just needs to be addressed in some way. This is creating work for me to do, so I need to capture that. Now let's get into the processing stage. We're going to process the things that we captured. So far we have like some sort of notepad, and it's just full of, it's like a to-do list. And it's like, oh God, now I'm really stressed out because I can actually see how big that thing is. And I know I can only do 3 things on it today. Okay. Anything that comes to you as an item or a to-do list, ask yourself, can I do this right now? If I do this right now, will it take under 2 minutes? If it'll take time enough that factors in as time, we're going to deal with that later. We're going to organize that into some category of items to do later. If we can do it right now, just do it right now. Kill it, eat that frog, get it done. And so if you find yourself in that situation and you say, well, I don't want to do it right now. Well, why are you going to want to do it later? Throw it out. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you do want to do it now. Otherwise, stop thinking about stuff to do. If you're not in the mood to do anything, Zen mind, you're good. Get back into if you're starting to assemble action items and you're not willing to do anything, useless use of your brain. Do not do that. When you're thinking about things to do, be ready to do one of those things that takes no time to do, because that's how you declutter. That's how you clean up. Now, if it's not actionable, it's kind of less relevant to getting things done. It's sort of archive data. It's something you can store away. Like I said, something funny happens, I still write it down. Where's that going? It's going into my comedy scraps.txt on my desk 2024 on my desktop. Lots and lots of repositories where just brainstorming and ideas go. Those need to be filtered out of getting things done because they're not actionable items. So they go into your archives. They go into different organizations. Very important here to start making those judgments. Do I discard some of these? Are some of these really going to be worthless? That's something that you will discover in the review process as you go. Over time, you'll start to realize like, okay, I actually don't need to write these things down, that it's pointless. Email notifications I receive have even though it looks like they're asking me to do something, I'm never going to do it, and they keep coming, so I just get rid of that mail. I just discard it. So now we're experts at capturing all the things we need to do and processing them in terms of whether they're things we can do. Now is the most fun part and the most important part, organizing. Step 3 is organizing. So we have to get all this information organized, and we have to prioritize it, and we have to group it, categories. So this is very level 7 framework appropriate. Now this is where your learning style and the tools that you like to use come into play. So I can't give universalized suggestions for any of this stuff. This is down to you. Be creative, be yourself, and we're going to group the things you need to do. You might lay them out in front of you, or you might just conceptualize it. We have 3 sort of ways of approaching this, 3 kind of standard, universal. We have sort of a timeline or a schedule. So what's the order of things that are going to happen? We have the context of the things. Is this my personal life? Is this the Jones account? Is this for Dusty, who's the manager of this department? We can organize things according to the context in which they appear, or the context of the desired outcomes, or the category of our life that it fits into. Finally, we can organize things in terms of projects, which are sort of open-ended, but they have goals. Like they always have a goal that they're working toward, and that would be successful completion of the project. So this Unthink Me is a project. What's the goal? That's going to change over time, and I'm going to achieve goals. I'm going to hit them. The project is Unthink Me. So I can organize it in that sense. I can organize it in terms of a calendar or schedule, in terms of what I'm doing over time, and I can organize it in terms of the context. This is a philosophical podcast that I do for my own therapy, stress relief, and to express myself to others in an artistic and engaging way. These are interrelated. They all interrelate to one another. So this is why, for you, it's very important that you integrate these together and that you find your own system here. Now, I could give you mine, but that's not going to help you much, because I do think I have really specific lifestyle and very specific strings that are tugging at me and goals. It just wouldn't be appropriate to you. So this is where we're talking about that overall integral life practice. What is your actual system of self-management? If you're a level 7 integral developer, you are a self-manager. You're in charge of this thing. This whole thing. Yeah. Big responsibility. And so we're just talking about getting organized with that process. Organization, do it physically some way, at least for this. Don't try to do it in your head. Do it physically, maybe in a spreadsheet, on a piece of paper, notebook, anything you got. You do it with little action figures if that's how you work, any way you like. This thing that we're doing right now, creating an organizational schema, is actually more step 4, review. So here we're self-reviewing, we're managing ourselves. So we're looking at how we manage. Is our organization schema good? Okay. This one is probably the most important thing to put on your to-do list or schedule. Manage yourself. Take a session once a week, perhaps. Just check in. How am I doing? How's my organizing? Am I getting things done? Am I satisfied with the outcome of what I'm doing? Should I adjust this? This is where you do that. This is review. We're going to review all the to-dos that we had. Maybe at first we'll take it very seriously and just review all the items and say, did I get done a reasonable amount of things? Did I do something that I could do different where I would get more of them done or a better outcome out of all those things that I had to do? If it doesn't seem perfect, keep making adjustments. We're just going to add one spice or remove one spice from the mix. We're not going to reinvent the whole dish every time. Just check in for an hour a week, half hour a week, 20 minutes a week. Just take a little session with yourself. And check in, make some judgments. Say, let's change our self-management system. I'm dissatisfied with my progress so far. Or I'm very satisfied and I want to make it even better. This is what I call a habit judgment, a big one, about once a month on your calendar. You're going to check in, just big check in. How am I doing on my goals and priorities? Is this working? And if it's not working, what can I do to make it better? This is self-management. It's not always knowing the answers. It's taking the time to ask yourself, what are the questions? What answers do I have? What information do I need in order to proceed as my own self-manager and as an employee of myself? You may want to offload this task to someone else, but this is an opportunity for you to do that work for yourself. And you kind of need to, at some point, at least understand how your own system works. And so review is just making sure it works, making sure that this is better than not doing this, and that it's better than it was last week. And if it's not, then roll it back to last week, right? So if we're really successfully doing all 4 of those steps, it's kind of backwards, right? Like we review in order to understand how we organize, and then we organize the things that we've prioritized, and then we prioritize the things that come to our head that we capture. So it's kind of an upside down when you're just getting into it when you're starting out. But stage 5 is just engage with the plan. You should, if you've done it successfully, we're getting better. We're going to check in and see if we're doing this successfully. You should have a schedule, and it should tell you what to do next. And the thing that you should do next will be a very appropriate thing to do next. And you shouldn't feel too nervous about it. If you feel too nervous about it, you need to adjust. You're making yourself lose your mind. You're giving yourself too much stress. Don't be a bad boss. Give yourself what you can handle. Give yourself a reasonable challenge. Do your best. And don't be mad at yourself. So this is why I'm saying it's such a perfect opportunity to work on your relationship with yourself, with your own standards, and to improve your own self-thought, your own tone of voice that you adopt with yourself, how to improve your own psychology. Be your own boss. Make it your responsibility. Make everything your fault. Hopefully, you'll arrive at the outcome of being very satisfied with yourself as your own boss and as your employee. Getting things done is kind of the first step along that path. So I'm going to apply this, and I hope you apply this. And if this was worthless, I hope it was entertaining or something. And let me know if you want to see more of this kind of business management stuff out of me. I know James is a little better. He's a little more versed in all this stuff, but I dabble. I like to talk about it too.